Mr. President, I want to go to the audience. Eric Narvaez is a war veteran. He was wounded in Afghanistan. He is with us this afternoon. Eddie.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Hey, Eric.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming here. There's so many things going on in the world right now, and I just want to thank you for taking your time to come and talk to us, because I know you have to deal with so many things. I can only imagine what you have to deal with every day, but a little bit about myself. When I was 17, I joined the U.S. Army. Actually, my mom had it signed because I was so young. My 18th birthday, I was spent in basic training. And my 21st birthday was spent in Afghanistan, and I was actually shot at on my birthday. You know, I came back. I'm a wounded warrior. I was medically discharged from the military in 2011. And I come back home, and only to find out that I'm fighting another war with my mother, trying to keep her here. So I just want to ask you, Mr. President, if there has to be some kind of gray area for a situation like this, because I put in a lot of time and I love this country, and I just feel like if it wasn't for her signing those papers, I would have never been able to join this great American Army. So I want to ask you if there's any way that situation could be handled a little better.
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you, Eric, for your incredible service to our country. And, you know, you're a great example of why this issue is so important. Our country is strong because of generation after generation of immigrants who embraced the ideals of America and then fought for those ideals, and fought in wars to defend our country, and built companies that employed people and helped to build the railroads and the highways and all the things that we take for granted in this country. Those were built by immigrants. We're all immigrants. That's who we are, unless you're one of the first Americans, Native Americans. And so we have to recognize that. I'm confident that your mother qualifies under the executive action program that I've put forward. Right now, the judge has blocked us initiating the program where she can come and sign up and get registered. But in the meantime, part of the message that I'm sending is, if you qualified for the executive action that I put forward, then we're still going to make sure that your mom is not prioritized in terms of enforcement. And you know, she should feel confident about that. So I just want to assure her short term. Long term, we need a situation where she has a pathway to become a legal citizen. And that's why we still have to make sure that we get a bill passed through Congress, and we have to keep the pressure on those who are blocking that bill. One last point that I think is important. The judge in this case did not reverse DACA that I put forward in 2012. So hundreds of thousands of young people all across the country who've signed up, registered, and are going to school, making something of their lives. You have to understand that hasn't been affected whatsoever.
Expand on that a little bit, because it's important.
It's important that in 2012, when I made my first announcement about executive actions, that applied to the Dreamers. Basically, if you were, if you had come here before 2007, you were between the ages of 16 and 30, you could register, sign up. You now had a legal status. It was temporary because we hadn't passed a bill yet, but it meant that you could get a work permit, you could go to school, you could do the things that American kids do as they're entering into adulthood. That has not changed. And so those who've already signed up, you need to understand that has not been challenged in court. And what's also important is we still have several 100,000 young people who qualify for that original executive action back in 2012 who have not yet taken advantage of it. And now's the time for all of you to take advantage of it.
Eric, thank you for that question. And, Mr. President, we've been just flooded with questions using our social media hashtags. And this one comes from the hashtag Obama Responde. It says, ¿qué garantía le da al inmigrante que en medio de un proceso de legalización ICE no lo deporte? Mi esposo, señor presidente, fue deportado en pleno proceso y dice que fue la semana pasada. Says, how do you guarantee that an immigrant who is in the middle of legalizing his status, that he or she is not going to be deported by ICE? Mr. President, my husband was deported during the process, and this, she says, happened just last week.
You know, I would have to know the details of what exactly happened, but what I can tell you is that until we pass a law through Congress, the executive actions that we've taken are not going to be permanent, they're temporary. We are now implementing a new prioritization. There are going to be some jurisdictions, and there may be individual ICE officials or Border Patrol who aren't paying attention to our new directives. But they're going to be answerable to the head of the Department of Homeland Security because he's been very clear about what our priorities should be. And I've been very clear about what our priorities should be. And I don't know what the particular circumstances here are, but what I can tell you is people who have signed up, for example, under my executive action in DACA, there are 800,000 people who signed up. They haven't had problems. It's worked. So we know how to make this work. Right now we've got a judge who's blocking it from working, and in the interim, until we can actually process all these applications, then what we're going to do is do what we can in terms of making sure that we're prioritizing it properly. But the challenge is still going to be that not only do we have to win this legal fight, which we are appealing very aggressively, but ultimately we're still going to have to pass a law through Congress. The bottom line is, Jose, that I'm using all of the legal power vested in me in order to solve this problem. And you know, one of the things about living in a democracy is that we have separation of powers, we have Congress, we have the judicial branch, and you know, right now we've got some disagreements with some members of Congress and some members of the judiciary in terms of what should be done. But what I'm confident about is ultimately this is going to get done. And the reason it's going to get done is it's the right thing to do. And it is who we are as a people.
But what are the consequences? Because, you know, how do you ensure that ICE agents or Border Patrol won't be deporting people like this? I mean, what are the consequences?
Look, the bottom line is that if somebody's working for ICE and there is a policy and they don't follow the policy, there are going to be consequences to it. So I can't speak to a specific problem. What I can talk about is what's true in the government generally. In the U.S. military, when you get an order, you're expected to follow it. Doesn't mean that everybody follows the order. If they don't, they've got a problem. And the same is going to be true with respect to the policies that we're putting forward.